Okay, we're going to show you how to assemble the Slingshot extender rig. What comes in the kit is what's on the table here. You have 2 roller assemblies labeled top. You have 2 roller assemblies labeled bottom. And you have 2 pins with rollers on them. If you look at the rollers themselves, some of them are labeled camera side, and some of them are labeled ratchet side. And so the idea behind this is camera side is on this end, up here, ratchet side is on this end. You'll also get 2 elastics. These are the medium elastics, and it's 6 1/4 foot long links, 2 of those, and you'll get 4 zip ties. So let's start with we're going to go ahead and assemble the stuff on here. We'll start with our bottom on our left side. You're going to use either a 4mm or a 5/32 to loosen these screws. We want to place this as low as possible without it rubbing the vest here. And we want to make sure that our Allen key here to access this screw is facing out. So that's going to hit, so I'm going to go just above where it's going to hit. I'm going to put on my cap. Going to tighten them, put them both on. And make it, snug. You don't have to go crazy, but you want it to be tight enough that it's not going to slide. All right, so that's solid on there. The next one we're going to do is our top piece. Same screws, all the screw links are the same. We're going to make sure that same screw head is going to be facing towards the outside for access. Let's go ahead and break these bolts loose. And on this one, we want to place this as high as possible while still allowing this to sit in here, and that's for storage. So take your pin out. As you see, if we go too high with this, as it comes down, it hits here. We want to let it come down so it hits there to try and keep this as compact as possible for storage. So grabbing it right there, I'll do the same thing. I'm going to take and just start one screw, start the other screw, and then send them home with that 4mm or 5/32 Allen key. Okay, and now I'm going to reset this, and we'll move on to the other side. Get a slightly different angle here so maybe you can see a little better. Start with the bottom here again. Again, we want to make sure our screw is to the outside for access. We're going to put it on the vest as low as possible without touching to get the most amount of elastic. I'm going to start one screw in, start the other screw in, and send them home. All right, and then we'll do the same thing up here on our second side top. We're going to pull the pin. The train is optional. To iterate, screw head to the outside. We want this to go as high as possible while still allowing this to work. It should be about, equal height to the other side. Take our cap. going to make sure it's relatively straight and just tighten those up. There's no need to go crazy on these. If you're familiar with foot-pounds, it's like 10, 12 foot-pounds is plenty. Let's reset this, and let's slide back around. So that's the major hardware done. Now we need to start looking at the elastics. You're going to want to sacrifice one of your old elastics bands, or get a new set from Walter Clausen. This set does not come with the hook and does not come with the pin, but they're easy to replace. I personally am stealing my lightest band because I never use that one. Or you could steal your heaviest band if you never use that. Or again, Walter Clausen sells these pieces on their own. The screw here is a 3/32 Allen key. So we're going to loosen these. It's easiest to leave one still attached and loosen it out so you just barely have some thread showing, and that's going to let you get that new one in there. So take one of your elastics, you're going to go on the top of it, slide around the back, and then back up the front. So it's going to be a little awkward, and it is much easier with two people, but you basically want to have it look a little something like that, a U around it. Bring this up, I'm going to slide that around. And then we're going to insert the other screw. You want to try your best as you're tightening these down that you don't let the screw mar the rubber. It can lead to a little tiny cut, which can then lead to bad news bears in the future. I'm going to start it, and I'm just going to feed this back through it a little bit to gain a little bit more space. So that looks pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and tighten this side down a little bit. I'm going to try and keep some pressure on that side, on this side, on the rubber with your hand, with one hand, and then tighten this one down more. Again, small screws, small Allen keys, don't strip it out. Then we'll send this one home as well. Okay, so that is good to go. We're going to want to take off our ball that comes with these kits. I am going to just quickly deburr this. If you feel it, sometimes they have a little bit of a sharp edge here, and I've had that cut into my rubber before. So not everyone's going to have a deburring tool, but if you have that or a little knife or something, it doesn't hurt to just take the edge off, take the sharp edge off. Keep it nice and tight for you. So now, I'm going to slide this bad boy on. So that's on. And we're going to start paying attention to the opposite side of the world. So we basically just need to replicate this on this, right? This is the pin that goes into the ratcheting system. So I'm going to take a pair of pliers or something and just break these guys. One at a time is easiest. Now that's free, and our old elastic can be put back into our bag for emergency use, or whatever. So I'm going to take our pin, wrap our elastic over it, try and center it up as much as we can. Again, this is one of those things much easier with two people. The zip ties that I've included are just pretty cheap zip ties. I do recommend, if you can, to get really nice ones. It does help. We want to try and put the little zip tie end around one side. Make it nice and tight. And then we're going to add a second one just ahead of it, going the same direction. All right, we're going to sort of just make sure that our rod is centered up in there. And I left a little bit more tail than I would have liked to have left, but it'll be okay. Trim off our zip ties. And now we're ready to install it. All right. We're going to start from the ratchet side when we install it, right? So we want to make sure that our inside the ratchet is a little Y section here. We want to take our thing and we're going to come up through this space in the top and slide it up, and then we're going to just give it a couple ratchets, right? Just so it's enough that it's going to stay on. Okay? Take our 3/32 Allen key, same one that's used for the hooks, and we're going to take out this bolt. Right? That frees up the roller. And if you notice, these rollers say ratchet side on them because this is the side of the ratchet. We're going to take our rubber, put it in here, slide our roller into place, take our screw, slide it in, tighten it down. It's a very small screw, a very small screw head. There's no need to put a lot of torque in it. You know, talking 5 foot-pounds maybe, right? And now that roller is placed. We're going to place our, now we're going to do the same thing with the upper roller. So now with our upper roller, loosen our bolt out. Take our elastic up behind the roller, slide the roller back in, and tighten that screw. For me, if you're doing like a more permanent installation of this, i.e. I always use the medium bands. Always, always, always. I never don't use the medium bands. I wouldn't mind putting a tiny drop of Loctite, blue Loctite 242, on each of these screws just to make sure they don't drop, like loosen at all, especially if they're in transport or something. Do not use a lot of it. You'll strip it out, try to get it off again. So you can use it, probably not necessary, but you can. So now our longer elastic is in the side here. We're going to rotate ourselves around and we'll come to the front. The front bearings are labeled camera side. And the reason they are, if you look at them, the outsides of the bearings are slightly longer, prouder than the actual roller, right? And so what this does is as the roller hits the side of the end of the Slingshot, it's not going to rub. It's still going to roll smoothly. I know with the stock Delrin bushings are not bad, but sometimes if they have some side load on them, they'll stick and sort of rub. So we have our quick release pin here, and we're going to take our rubber up underneath it, and this is just like the old style. Take our pin, send it home, and it will not come out. A little on the long side, but that's going to help. And so now we have full roll here. Obviously this is really loose, right? So we'll ratchet it up. And there we go. we're all here. Now, a couple things to keep in mind here with this new extender kit. The same rules apply as the original one, right? So the longer the elastic is, the better. The higher it is, the more tension it has on it, the better it's going to perform. Two big notes. Because there is more elastic here, your reel might get bunched up faster. One thing you can do is you can loosen these screws here and move this pipe out slightly. We'll gain you a little bit of space. But also, as you're ratcheting it for the first time, just try and get the elastic to sort of like follow a nice flow to give you enough room in that ratchet. Two is, because there's now tension at these points, more points, do not leave it under tension when you store it. It will form little memories here. At least that's what our beta testers have said. And that results in a little bit of like a tiny little hitch. So before you put it away in the case, just make it so it's nice and loosey-goosey, you know, and you'll be good to go. Obviously, there's another elastic here to do, but we'll do it off camera. It's the same as this side. It's pretty easy. Nothing else really to mention on this. We've tested these elastics from about 15 pounds to about 45 pounds, and it's gotten good results from that. Yeah, thank you so much for purchasing and supporting all the wacky ideas I have. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out via email, text, Instagram, whatever. Thank you so much.